Hello and welcome to this episode of Aileen's Arcane Archive. As usual, I am Louise, your pajamaed archivist, one half of the Ailene Lynn Ray writing team. Now today we're going to be talking a little bit about fairy tales. And when we were first looking for independent authors, we came across this little gem by Sarah Beran. And before I get into this, fairy tales have kind of made me a little nostalgic, so I pulled out my grandmother's Afghan, and it used to sit on the back of her couch for as long as I can remember. And so I decided to bring that down and be my comfy blanket for today. But I didn't quite realize that with my checkered blanket and my paisley PJs and my beat up old rocker that I got secondhand from a friend is kind of making a, ocular assault here, so I apologize for that. But I'm comfy, so that really is all that matters. So today we're going to be discussing Sarah Beran and her second Star to the Right. This is her series, and I'm going to mess up the name of the series of books. I want to say it's not the Foundation series, but it is Order of the Fountain. There you go, the Order of the Fountain series. And there are 7 books in this series. And Sarah Beran is kind of the queen of retelling fairy tales, or a mash. She does a mash of things. She mixes and matches stories and tales in her books. So each one of these books is kind of standalone, but they do have spoilers. So if you start off in the middle of the tale, you can read some of her books independently, but it will spoil some of the books beforehand. The ones that started out earlier. So we're going to start with the first one, Second Star to the Right. And I'm not sure if this was her first series of books. You could definitely see the improvement and progression of her writing in her novels. But I really enjoyed this story, this kind of, use of how the retelling of the Pan story. So Second Star to the Right, the Prince of Norland is missing. Orphaned twice over, Pan has spent his life under the control of the cunning and ruthless pirate captain Lessard. Though desperate to both retain his morality and gain his freedom, he lives in constant fear of the consequences his choices would have on Smee, the only friend he has. When the enigmatic Hook joins Lessard's crew and hatches a plot to help the captain break into the royal vault in Montaigne, Pan is offered his chance. If he helps Lessard gain entry to the vault, he and Smee will be allowed to leave the pirate life behind. If he is discovered, however, he could face a life in prison, and for Smee, the consequences would be far worse. Melanie Charmant, the Princess of Montaigne, has followed the search for the missing Prince of Norland, the Lost Boy, for as long as she can remember. With the aid of the Order of the Fountain, she discovers that not only does Lessard hold the key to the prince's disappearance, the nefarious pirate is also plotting to get his hands on the secret of Neverland, a spring of water that, according to legends, can bestow healing and perhaps even eternal youth. All Pan wants to do is finish his mission, and so he and Smee can start over. All Melanie wants is to see the prince safely home and Neverland untouched. As their paths cross, will they find a way to trust each other with their secrets and protect Neverland from Lessard, or is the gap between a pirate and a princess too great? Okay, so, again, me and my tea. I know, I have to have tea. So let's get into our comfy places. Find a nice place to relax, and let me tell you a story. Second Star to the Right by Sarah Beran. The sunlight filtered down through the canopy of trees, bathing the forest in the soft green glow of a summer afternoon. A quiet breeze rustled the leaves as it moved past, bearing the chirps and trills of birdsong. The suddenly happy shriek of a child broke the stillness, followed by the laughter of a woman. A boy no more than 5 years old stood in a clearing, brandishing a sword in the form of a twig. His mother faced him in a similar stance, guarding a picnic basket and a large hamper of food. "I'm sorry, Sir Knight, but you'll not be taking any of this treasure today." The woman spoke in a low voice, her eyebrows drawn together and eyes narrowed dramatically. "You will have to fight me, and I fear I am much bigger and stronger than you. You'll never win," the boy giggled. "But, Mama, you know that a good knight has to win." "Yes, but this enemy doesn't know that. I will take the treasure! With an excited grin, the boy jumped forward, swinging his stick sword. He and his mother laughed as the duel went on, until the woman suddenly stopped, threw down her stick, and attacked the boy with tickles. His giggling shrieks grew louder and louder. A rustling in leaves to the side of the clearing caught the mother's attention. She stilled, peering cautiously into the foliage. The boy, unaware of what had distracted his playmate, redoubled his efforts. Hush, the woman fiercely whispered. Her sharp tone silenced the boy immediately, and he followed her gaze to a pair of gleaming yellow eyes and a gray snout emerging from the camouflage of the bracken. The wolf gave a low growl, and several others answered back from all sides. With as little movement as possible, the woman turned, looking for a means of escape. The forest was old, and the trees were tall in this part of the woods, even the lowest branches too high for her to reach or even boost her son into. She eyed the picnic hamper, mentally calculating how long the remains of their midday meal would distract the hungry predators that were even now growing steadily closer. It would not be long enough. But her boy might still have a chance. Resolutely, she picked up the stick sword from where she had cast it aside moments before. Henry, she spoke in calm, low tones, hoping that her inner panic did not reach her voice. Yes, Mama? Do you know the way back to your uncle's house? Henry furrowed his brow. I think so. Find the brook and follow it backwards. As long as you keep to the brook, you should find your way back. Whatever you do, Henry, don't look back. I need you to promise me that you will keep going. I will follow you when I can. She took her eyes away from the wolves for one agonizing second, trying to memorize her son's face as she would last see it. She turned back, took a deep breath, and shouted, Run! Henry ran as fast as his short legs could carry him, his tears held at bay from sheer panic. He could hear the snarls and growls of the wolves behind him, but true to his word, he did not look back. He ran blindly on, thinking nothing else than to get away as far away as he could. A piercing cry rent the air, and then was suddenly silenced. His mother. The sound was too much. He had to look back, and doing so lost his footing. Henry lay in the undergrowth, grief immobilizing him and terror silencing him. Tears streamed down his face. Mama. The young mind refused to wrap itself around the truth that she would not be coming after him. He crawled weakly into the cover of a small shrub, waiting, clinging to a last tendril of hope that he would see her emerge from the trees beyond. The sunlight had streamed through the trees, began to take on warmer hues, as the sun sank lower and dusk approached. The birds resumed their chirping songs, unaware or perhaps uncaring of the tragedy that had just taken place in their home. Henry slowly pulled himself out from his cover, looking warily all around him. In his panic, he had forgotten his mother's instructions to seek out the brook, and all he could see in every direction was tree upon tree upon tree. He was lost. So that is the prologue to Second Star to the Right by Sarah Beran. This is a young adult book and a fairy tale. I won't say exactly a retelling. It is a retelling, but it is also kind of a mix and match of other stories, because all of her fairy tales in this Order of the Fountain is set in Montaigne, and it has different tales that connect all together. So you will see other fairy tale characters and other story characters in here, and some that you think are bad are good, and some that you think are good are bad, which is interesting. So again, if you like young adult novels and you like story mix and matches for fairy tales, this might just be the book for you. So we will have all the information on how you can get a hold of Second Star to the Right by Sarah Beran down in our details and at the end of this video. And so I would like to thank you for being here today with me. And as always, remember that your life is a story. So go out and live it.